Now, we're a fairly soccer-orientated family. We've played soccer most of our lives and we watch soccer fairly regularly. But do we really know how soccer came to be? According to the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, also more commonly known as FIFA, at the turn of the 21st century, 250 million people were playing soccer regularly. And they also noted that 1.3 billion people were interested in soccer. In soccer, the sport of soccer is a global phenomenon which continues to gain popularity and gain interest, but do we really know the history of it? And this history is very interesting and can be dated back all the way to Mesoamerica. And according to footballhistory.org, the first recorded ball game in Mesoamerica was recorded nearly 3,000 years ago, and it's called Chichali. Different versions of this game were played, but the Aztecs called it Chichali, obviously. But the ball would represent the sun, and the goalpost would represent the sunset, or the sunrises, or the equinoxes. And it was very violent and brutal, and would often lead to serious injuries and sometimes even death. And when the losing captain would often get sacrificed to the gods. And I personally am glad they phased that part out of the game, because I wouldn't want to deal with that now. But this game wasn't primarily played with your feet, which is what soccer is mostly known as. And the first game that was really noted for the feet was in 2nd and 3rd BC China, and called Cuju. Now this game had a leather-wrapped ball on a square field, and it was very similar to how soccer is played now, with two 12 to 16 player teams and a goalpost on each end. And this sport was very popular, and people of all classes of society were drawn to it. And it would also spread to other countries, and spread to Japan, where it was called Kemari, and it was used as celebration or a ceremonial ritual. Now, this game was also dated back to ancient Greece, where it wasn't super popular, and it wasn't played in the Olympics like most people are known for, but it was still there. They had their leather ball filled with hair, and they would play it. And it was also noted back in ancient Rome, where it was also not super popular, where they wouldn't use it for entertainment. Like, obviously, they'd have the gladiators and the colosseums and stuff. But they used this in military training. It was called Harpason. And after this, the game continued to develop, and it evolved throughout the years, and the real root of modern soccer was noted in 19th century Britain. And according to Britannica, the sport, it was played all throughout the fields and throughout towns and throughout cities, and it was honestly pretty violent too, because other than just kicking, people would punch the ball, and they would cause damage to property and would cause injury and also sometimes even death. And no one really had any rule sets, and it just kept going on wildly. But until 1843, when Cambridge University first standardized and codified the rules, and they tried to unify as the school system. No one really accepted this. People were still hesitant. They'd do their own thing. That was until 1877, when the associations of Great Britain finally managed to settle and come together to create one set of rules. And the game continued to evolve, and more things were added, more rules were added to it, and it went up to pretty recently. In 1981, according to athleticscholarships.net, 1891 was when the penalty kick was added. And later than that, in the 1970 World Cup final, yellow and red cards were added. And from soccer, multiple famous players are now made household names, such as Pele, who is most known for he scored 6 goals in the 1958 World Cup to win Brazil's first title. And he's very famous, and everyone, even if you don't know soccer, most people will know this guy. And more modern, we have Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, who are household names too, and they're often debated for being the best in the world, best of all time, but they're definitely the best playing right now. And they're people who grew up in this soccer and might not know the history, which is why we're educating you. And soccer has evolved throughout the years and really just went from this primitive sport to this esteemed game, and it's really something that we should be proud of for knowing, and it's something I'm glad I could share with you today. Thank you.
Whoops.